European Marine Observation and Data Network. We have Kate Larkin here, head of EMOD. Thank you, Kate. Stage is yours.
Okay, hope you can all hear me very well. Thank you very much for joining me this afternoon, and thank you to EBI for the invitation to present to you all today. So let me just... Okay. So in this very short presentation, I'm hoping to communicate to you a little bit about the European landscape of marine data, what types of data are collected, the European service of EMODnet, which is one of the key services of the European Union for public services to marine data, and then show you a little bit how EMODnet's offer can support the ports, marinas, and boating industry, but also how you can be involved in the data collection efforts and sharing your data for societal benefit. So what is EMODnet? In a nutshell, EMODnet is a portal, it's a website online, but it's much more than that. It's much more than a data repository as well. It's really a service offering pan-European maps of the ocean environment. When I say ocean environment, I'm meaning seafloor to sea surface, coast to open ocean, across many different thematic areas, but also, quite uniquely, EMODnet offers human activities data. So we're offering also vessel density tracking information. We are offering point data for aquaculture offshore wind farms. We are offering maritime spatial plans of EU member states. And the beauty is that we can offer all these data in one place, but also in a fair and interoperable way. So during this presentation, I'm going to be diving into some of these offers, but also the use cases of how different stakeholders use EMODnet's data. This I don't have time to explain in full, but you see on the screen from the Global Ocean Observing System just some examples of the diversity of platforms and technologies that people use to measure the ocean. We at EMODnet, we do not do the satellite data. That's for Copernicus Marine Service in Europe. But we at EMODnet do all of the other data that you can see collected by platforms in and around the water. So this could be autonomous gliders and moorings. It could be vessels. It could be citizen science initiatives. And it could, of course, be the blue economy and different stakeholders that I'm sure a lot of you are from today. The EMODnet data flow, so this is a public service, so we are receiving data from anyone who's collecting marine data in the ocean and is interested in sharing their data with us. So you can see at the bottom just the high-level sectors of groups that are already giving data to EMODnet. So we have operational oceanographic platforms like the Eurogoose network and research infrastructures. We have research and academia. We have hydrographic offices for the navigational data from bathymetry. We have geological surveys, which are not featured there, but they're a key part also of our network. We have marine monitoring by national authorities for different legislations. We have the private sector and blue economy, and we have other providers, including citizens. And the ports, marinas, and boating sectors span, of course, the private sector, the public sector, different operators, and also the citizens themselves. So in a nutshell, again, with EMODnet, now you can see on the right-hand side a cross-section of the ocean and the different themes of EMODnet. But each one of those 7 themes has tens or even hundreds of properties and parameters within it. So for instance, physics, it's not just temperature and salinity. We offer underwater noise data. We offer riverine outputs, sea level rise information, etc. So it's very, very broad. And the added value of the data service, we are assembling the data together from hundreds of sources, but then we are also applying standards. So European standards from the INSPIRE Geospatial Data Directive, international standards from the ISO for metadata standards. And the beauty of this is that you can then interact and connect different data from completely different sources and across different parameters to get a holistic view of the ocean. And this we call follow the data principles of FAIR, meaning findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable data. Now, EMODnet is an operational marine data service. This means it's a very long-term service. It's not going away anytime soon. So if you share your data with EMODnet, the public service will curate the data and will provide your data back to you in a fair format. But also, your data then can be made available to many different stakeholders globally. This is a global service. The mandate of EMODnet is the European seas. So most of our data, most of the resolution is highest in European sea basins and around bordering oceans. But nonetheless, it is a global and open service. And in addition to the portal, you also have access to web services. So we have a number of web services and APIs, which mean if you have a service or you have an idea for an application, you can build on top of EMODnet. you can access the public information, the public data, the data products that we offer completely free of charge. And then you can add your business model or your application on top. In fact, this is what EMODnet strives to do. We do not want to interrupt with the market. Our products are very generic for a good purpose so that any stakeholder can access and use this marine knowledge as a societal good. These are just some examples of the different data layers that EMODnet offers. In the bottom right, you have the vessel density. That's the Strait of Gibraltar that you might recognize being obviously a very busy area for boating. But you can zoom into that data product and see what types of boats, what the trajectories are, and more information. Then you have the seabed habitats on the left of it, which I'm going to explain in a minute. So this is the EMODnet seabed habitat, and the reason I'm showing this is it shows the power of unlocking data across many different thematics, what you can do with that information. So for instance, to understand the seafloor, the marine life that's living on the seafloor, and the seabed habitat, you need information on the geological substrate, the bathymetry and the sea depth, you need the hydrodynamic information on the bottom water currents, you need the biological zone information on the marine life. And then together, if you have all of these data in a fair way, interoperated together, you can create a seabed habitat. And this is increasingly useful for navigation. Imagine you are in recreational boating, or any boating, in fact. You want to know where you can anchor and not destruct the marine environment. So this can give information on vulnerable marine ecosystems, on seagrasses, which are prevalent in the Mediterranean, for example. And it's really increasing in its demand. Who uses EMODnet data and why? I don't have the luxury to go on too much here, but you can see at the bottom, blue economy is obviously a key area. And in October last year, we did a workshop together with European Boating Industry, Trans-Europe Marinas, and the European Seaports Organization. We did a workshop looking at data needs and requirements from these sectors, and also how we could interact on data sharing with these sectors. We had use cases from companies like Savvy Navi, which has a new navigation solution. If you'd like to talk to David Cusworth and myself, we'll be at the Love Your Ocean stand at 11 o'clock tomorrow. Then the Port of Livorno, for example, showing how ports are increasingly becoming digital ecosystems and using EMODnet data. We looked at what data is required by these sectors. Of course, MetOcean, the physical data, is still in demand, but interestingly, there is an increase in the need and the demand for marine biodiversity data in combination with all of these other data. But the stakeholders, we had 70 experts that we had invited to join us across all sorts of different sectors within this blue economy area, and you can see all the different types of data that they had in demand, and a lot of these data can be met already by EMODnet. But where EMODnet does not already have the data, we are now working with groups to unlock these data. So for example, we are producing a new layer on marinas, which hopefully will be out in the coming year or so. Then in terms of data value creation, so obviously a lot of the sectors are collecting ocean environmental data. You need these data for your operations at sea. But we at EMODnet believe that we collect the data once. Why not use it many times? Once you have finished your use of the data, once you have finished your commercial sensitivity, why not share it for the public good? And also, you will get your data back in return in a more curated, fair way, so it can be then more useful for you. And that's because we use these different standards to curate the data, and we make these pan-European data products and data layers. So we really welcome the opportunity to work more with all of you, with the ports, marinas, and boating sectors to unlock more data for societal benefit. So I'm just in my last couple of slides now. Just a note on the next steps. EMODnet is already a digital service, but we are now working for a couple of years already with Copernicus Marine Service to deliver the next level of the toolbox for European data. This is called the European Digital Twin Ocean. All of the data from EMODnet and Copernicus will flow into a data lake, which already exists, but on top, they're building modeling capabilities, cloud computing, all sorts of fantastic analytical tools online, which will be the next game changer in how we analyze data on the cloud. So this is something to look out for. If you're interested, please join EMODnet. We have newsletters, we have information on the portals. We also have upcoming a hackathon in March, which is completely online. It's completely free to join. You will be forming teams using EMODnet data to create applications that would benefit your sectors or anything that inspires you. And it's a competition, so there will be winning prizes as well, from access to the DigitalOcean platform through to gift prizes and also access to the European Maritime Day to come to the EMODnet stand and to pitch to stakeholders as well. So I invite you to join me at this. And the very final slide that I have before I close is that EMODnet is a very large partnership. We have 120 members across Europe that are funded to make these data available to you. But we also have a non-funded but no-fee network for the private sector, for public-private partnerships that would really like a closer dialogue with EMODnet, and you have motivation to share your data or use EMODnet data. So you can see we have 35 members already, small, medium enterprises to big companies, and there are leaflets around on the little tables, high tables at the back, if you're interested, or you can approach me at the end for more information about this or about EMODnet in general. So I will close there. Thank you very much for your